Hey, what is going on Facebook? How is everybody doing today? Don't worry, it's not Friday. It's Saturday, but it is another episode of Millennial and Billy and Mel. So hopefully you guys are doing pretty good, right? So far this weekend. Hopefully you're having a good weekend so far, right? It's a little rainy outside, or not rainy. It's a little overcast where I'm at. I don't know if it's like that for you, Mel, in your neck of the woods. But anyways, what we're going to be talking about today is travel, right? Because on one of our previous ones, we talked about some of the stereotypes, right? And one of them that popped up was about travel. Mm-hmm. And so that got me and Mel thinking, since we do like to travel, let's talk about some of the favorite places that we haven't been to yet, right? That we definitely want to go to. But like I said, guys, hopefully if you're jumping on here with us, make sure you comment who you are, where you're from. We'd love to give you guys a shout out. And if you're going to be coming back on the replay, or checking us out on some of the other platforms that we're on, go check us out there. Definitely share, like, and comment with us. We want to see your guys' reaction. But Mel, it's been a whole week since we last chatted here. We chat offline, guys. We're actually friends. We don't just talk on here. This is the only time we ever talk. But how's your week been? I know you had a big conference that you were at. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I am so excited. I had a great week. Obviously, for me, it was a 2-day week because we had Labor Day, and then I had Tuesday and Wednesday, and then Thursday and Friday, I had the Leadership Harrisburg area retreat. It was the opening retreat for a 9-month leadership course, and I was a little hesitant, I have to be honest, with it being at a hotel, and with the class is smaller this year, it's 31, but I was nervous with everything going on with COVID and trying to obviously be socially distant and safe, but they did such a great job. We wore masks, we had face shields, and we were all 6 feet apart, and even most of it was outside, so that was great. But I got to, speaking of travel, I went to Gettysburg Battlefield, first time ever.
Really?
I'm 35 years old, but obviously I'm not from the Harrisburg area originally. I grew up in Baltimore, so our field trips and stuff were Inner Harbor, right? And I think I missed the Gettysburg trips for the Harrisburg area in elementary and middle school when I came in high school. So it was really neat. And I'm going to post some stuff on our page here a little bit more. I think aside, I'll post some things just so that people can see. So I'll go into depth in that. But it was a great time. And then I took a 2-hour travel drive up to Huntington for my work-life integration. I've heard flow this week at the conference. Work-life flow.
Work-life flow. Wow. Yeah. Look at that. The new generation's coming out with newer things, but tagging back onto your Gettysburg it's a place I've been, and my dad and I are huge history buffs. He's like, one of his favorite time periods is that time in American history is the Civil War. And so we haven't been in a really long time, but I definitely love going to that place. It's just a great reminder of where our country came from. But just to be somewhere where so much history happened is really, really cool. So, and that actually has to play into one of my places of travel. And we'll get to that here in a second. But yeah, one of the biggest things that we heard, right, and one of the stereotypes that we saw was millennials would much rather travel than maybe, do other things, right? Own a home, have a family. So this is a pretty interesting talk that we're going to have.
Yeah, and I think it goes back to the experiences, like we said, more than other generations. We really want to have the experiences, and we value those experiences, making those memories, and traveling is huge for for us, and everyone loves to post where they go on social media.
Back to another talk, right? That's crazy.
The picture perfect,
Yeah, I had the picture perfect vacation, right? Even during a pandemic, right? Like,
well, it's a good thing to talk about right now because, I'll share a little bit about a trip that we're planning, but trying to do little getaways, and people who like to travel are having a difficult time, I think, with a lot of the restrictions that are going on. So there's a lot about the travel industry right now that it's going to be good for our self-care and our mental health and all that, but there's a lot more challenges that are there. So it's hard.
Oh no, I totally agree. And from somebody that's the industry I came from, right? The travel hospitality industry. Like I can tell you a lot of people are definitely struggling. The people especially that love to, even it's not even millennials, it's people that are retired too, right? They've worked their whole entire career and now that they've basically, in a sense, a whole year wasted, right? Almost at this point. So to maybe go places that they could have gone. And so but yeah, I think we should get right into it. I think we should definitely talk about a couple places that we would love to travel to. And then maybe I'll share a little bit about why we love to travel. We love to travel there. So, ladies first. I'll give you the first crack at it. And then I guess it's no in particular order, but where's one of the places that you would like to go?
I'll just go right into the trip that we're planning. Why not? Why not?
Why not? Look at that shameless plug. Wow.
Why not? But yeah, I definitely, I've talked about my networking group, my tip group, but the person that brought me into my group, Jason Holland from Travel Simplicity, and this is definitely a shameless plug for him, but I've worked with him for years and I've never used him for a trip. And I do all of, if you follow me on Instagram on Made to Keep, shameless plug again, I have
shameless plug Saturday. God.
I have welcome home cards that I do for him. He sends me the itinerary of the person's custom trip that he designed for them. He's a travel butler. And I make a welcome home card with their name, the place, the dates, the photos that I can find on the web. Or if they have specific photos, some people I know I include. So I've watched him planning these trips for years. And I finally started. We are planning to go one of the places that I've always wanted to go last 5-6 years, Lake Louise. It's Banff National Park in Canada, out by Vancouver. And it's going to be a big trip. I mean, I haven't taken a long vacation. I don't remember even if I even took a week vacation ever. So that is what we're doing. And Jason, we just met with him and it's going to be a fun time planning that. I saw pictures of it and I said, I want to go there. And there's a lot more about it, obviously. But yeah, we started to plan it and I'm excited because it's on the books. We can start to budget. We can start to figure out, what we want to do. And he's going to help us with that. And I think I'll share a lot of this along the way in the process too, but I've never been, obviously we go to Canada up to, the Salon area. It's above Michigan. Alex's family has a lake house there, but this is obviously, more on that Vancouver side. So.
Nice. And I think that's one thing that's not utilized, and a lot of people don't understand like how travel agents work. And really, I don't even know everything that they do, but I mean, they definitely make your trip a lot easier. They take care of a lot of things. You actually have somebody that you can call, right? When something goes wrong, because inevitably something always goes wrong in a vacation setting, right? Especially if you're out of the country. Right. And to have somebody like that you can like call and they can help you through a lot of that stuff instead of just like.
It's the resources. Like, we come to you for finances because you're the expert. People come to me for the design and you want to go to somebody who knows what they're doing when it comes to this travel stuff. And I know a lot about his business just because of the behind the scenes. But yeah, I think for so many people and people do get excited about it and they want to find the cheapest prices. And I've done that too. I haven't traveled I'm excited to talk about this because I haven't really traveled as much. I haven't traveled a lot at all actually, but I think it's also the time, the time to spend is so much when you're planning a trip, especially a big one, and having the right resources. You can't do it all yourself, really.
No, you can't. You don't. And when you're running your own business, you really don't have time to plan everything, right? That's why you, like you said, you have experts that you go to for those certain fields that you're looking into. So the big one for me, and it's probably my number one overall, is, and this is just because of my heritage being Italian, I want to go to Italy, and I want to see where like my grandfather was from. I want to see where my grandmother was from. But like, there's so much history, and a lot of my trips are going to be based on a lot of history, just because, I mean, that's like where some of the original civilizations came from. And so like, I want to go to the Vatican, right? And I want to go to Rome, and I want to go to Venice, and I want to see the art. And even though I'm not an art guy, but like, I understand the significance behind art. Right. And I just want to see, like I said, those, like, I want to see where like the Roman Empire started and stuff like that. And so for me, like, I definitely want to go when then people say, I want to go to the old country, right? Like that's originally where you were from, where some of your roots came from, even though we're Americans, right? We're born in America. But however, our ancestors traveled from that land to get to here to have a better life. So I think Italy is probably my biggest one. So not to mention have great Italian food. I would probably be more of a Southern Italy person than a Northern Italy.
Some of the food there isn't what American Italian food is.
No, not even close.
It's not the same. All of it. I mean, and how it's made, and certain things that we eat here, Italian. But
well, I mean, just if you think about the sauces alone, there's like really no Alfredo sauce.
Gravy.
It's
gravy.
It is gravy, but in America, it's sauce. So, but yeah, there's a lot of, like, especially Northern cuisine compared to Southern cuisine is completely different. Completely different. And then also, I mean, then you have Sicily, which is completely different from the rest of the boot, right? So I definitely would love just to be immersed in that culture for a week or so.
Oh yeah, I'm obviously Italian too, so one of the places I'd love to go. I think that I wanted to share this too. I think when I was younger, I was in high school, my top place was Australia. I don't know. I was like, I just want to go to Australia. The kangaroos, with us. You get older, and I've never been to Europe. I want to go to Europe. I want to go to Italy, and I do. But there's definitely different countries around the world that I want to see. But I also don't want to discount that I still want to see the United States. I still want to go to small town America. There's so many places. And there's not a particular place, but that'll be one of my things. But I do think that it's important that we want to see the world. But there's so much, even in the U.S., that I'd love to see. But yeah, I would love. I'll piggyback on your Italy. We actually just started on Netflix watching the Formula One series. And I think we're on to series 2 or 3. I think it's the second series. But this is very interesting to see this whole other realm of these car racing. I mean, I don't want to say like the wealth or the money. I mean, it's our, I guess American is NASCAR version, our racing. You have Formula One, and it's definitely more of a European and I mean, it's all over the world, honestly, but there is the race in Texas. But when you see the race in Texas on the show, it is not like all the other races around the world. And it is fascinating to see the money that goes into it in just the structures that they put up for the teams and for the meetings and all this. But Monte Carlo obviously is one of the biggest, baddest celebrity races for Formula One. And it's been coming up a lot in the show is in Italy, and obviously the Amalfi Coast and Positano and all that. There's beautiful scenic. I love the architecture side too because of being artists and going through art school. For me, going back to Banff and Lake Louise, I have become such a scenic person too. I want to see like the not just the structures, but the countryside and all that. I mean, I think it's starts to open you up when you're younger and you want to go to Miami and Manhattan. And then when you do all that, you're like, oh, this is great, but we could go clubbing anytime, anywhere.
Yeah, it's interesting you say, like, you're talking about like Formula One racing versus like NASCAR. Like there's definitely an obvious difference. I mean, when I grew up in Delaware, there's a racetrack there. It's called Dover Downs. Big NASCAR spot. The Monster Mile. Yes, that's it. And but I've been to an actual Formula One race that was held in at the Monster Mile.
Really?
And it was crazy. Like those cars were so much faster. It just seemed like I don't want to say more refined than NASCAR. I feel like NASCAR is like a rugged man sport. It's like I'm driving this car, and then you see like the Formula One stuff, right? And you see it just looks elegant, right? It just looks like
I don't know how to describe it.
Drinker versus wine drinker, right?
Yeah, I don't know how to describe it because I've been to Williams Grove Speedway. I've been to the dirt tracks. Like, I love all types of racing. And I had a go-kart when I was little. It was actually supposed to be, I think, on the grass or something, but we would do it in the street. And my grandfather had gotten it for us. And we were, I would rev that thing. And then I think I busted the tires. And then we never got new tires at all. Who knows?
Going back to our last live, you definitely told us you had a lead foot, so that makes a lot of sense now.
Yeah, but I think it was funny. You're right, because watching and here's a good another plug for Jason Holland, but he's doing a lot of virtual, not necessarily virtual trips, but virtual education of the world and things that. This Formula One Netflix series we've been able to see different areas of the country just in the show, because they're traveling. Each race is in different. Obviously there was Baku. I think it's like Azerbaijan. Like I've never even heard of some of these countries and cities, and they have it in China and Japan and just all over, and Norway, obviously in more of the European states, but yeah, it's like we're doing mini traveling while we're watching this show. And I want to go here. I want to go here. I want to go there. And we found out from Jason, actually, when we were talking about planning trips and everything, that to do a whole trip for one of the Formula One races, and it's obviously hotels and all that, and even getting the tickets, it could be up to like $50,000.
Yeah, that's crazy.
It's insane.
That's insane. Definitely. Oh my God.
But it's neat to see everything while we're watching that series, and we're really into the team itself. But you're seeing all the different countries too.
I know. Yeah. That is interesting to think about too, because there are a lot more like I don't want to say diversity, but like there's just a wider spectrum of different countries in Formula One versus like the United States, right, in NASCAR. So I think another one for me is I'm going to stay in Europe, because I think I was in Europe. Yeah, I was in Europe. I'm going to stay in Europe, and I'm going to stay with the history theme. And I want to go to like Normandy, France, that type of area, for the simple fact, like, yes, I would love to go to Paris. I think that would be amazing, just to see the Eiffel Tower, to see all that history. But the big one for me is, my grandfather was in World War II, was one of the first waves on Omaha Beach, D-Day. And so me and my father have actually talked about, there's like specific tours you can do through like the whole week, especially like the week of Normandy when that happened. And you can actually like go through a lot of the day as like the soldiers were marching up the beach and stuff like that. So I would just love to be there where he was, that was like 70 plus, 80 plus years ago at this point. Right. So a huge moment in the history of not only America, but the world, right. Changed the world because but started the battle. And so just to be a part of where he was at, as a young, 24-year-old storming that beach, I think would just be amazing to have not only his presence that was there, but to have his son and then his grandson at the same spot that he was at and risked his life. So not to get somber, but like I said, it would just be a really, and you know me, I'm more about life experiences than a lot of people. And so that would be something that you could take with you for the rest of your life. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. And I think even just bringing back to the whole Gettysburg, I mean, it's interesting to see. And when we actually had a tour guide, I'll share this with you aside, but we had a tour guide that's a history and Africana studies professor at Gettysburg College. And what they're trying to do is add in a lot of the African-American roles and slaves, because there were a lot there, and it's not depicted. And that's a whole nother, like I said, we'll talk about that offline, but they're actually going to start to really make some major changes soon here at Gettysburg with that, and sharing more of the story, giving more of the story over that hasn't been for the last 100 years. So, but I completely understand with your grandfather wanting to almost be and see what he, went through, like where, like not necessarily where he stood. I mean, just saying, but that would mean so much. I feel like when and it's such an experience for you both to do that together.
So that would be, it, like I said, I sometimes when we were talking about it, like just me and him, it was just got chills thinking about it. It's like, so much time is between us. And to be at that moment would be just, would be.
Speaking of your grandfather, I'm going to go with my grandmother, my nanny. She passed away in December, and she was 91, dancing her way through life like me. But she's actually, her family actually is still in Norway. And I mean, she was born here, obviously, and it was probably a couple generations that were here. But her cousins and a lot of second cousins and whatnot are actually living in Norway. And we did the Ancestry or Ancestry.com or the genealogy. Let's say it was 10 years ago. I'm not really sure. Somehow my uncle was doing it here in Texas, and Carl, who's basically second or third cousin of my nanny, he's probably in his mid-20s, 30. He's probably about 30 right now. He was here in DC studying here in the United States, and he found the same ancestry, map that they were working on, that my uncle was working on, and they connected. And he came, and I think it was my grandmother's 85th birthday. So we connected, and on Facebook, this is great technology, right? We are connected with all of her family's relatives. I mean, it's my family too, obviously, on Facebook. And I get to see, and they're talking in Norwegian. I mean, the translation. And I would love to go to Norway. I mean, we've all seen beautiful pictures of Norway and obviously Switzerland and stuff, but just the little towns. I mean, you see pictures of all the houses and their different colors, and I love to explore. I'll probably get myself in trouble one day going somewhere that I'm not supposed to be because I want to go. There's trips that I've taken where you're supposed to be here. Well, I want to go over there, and I want to go into the town, and I want to go where the town people go. I don't want to the touristy places. I really want to see and experience local life, and go into a pub or go into something and meet some of the local people. And I haven't gotten to do that, and I think I'm excited, especially with this trip that we're planning, is that there's a lot of open opportunities to go and explore in places. Obviously, you want to make sure it's safe, but but the other thing, and this is kind of twofold, I'll add in an extra one because while we're here, I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights, and there's only certain years, I feel. I don't know if you know about this, but there's only certain years and places that you can see them, and I know that you can do that in Norway. So I'm thinking maybe I can kill two birds with one stone here, going to Norway.
Yeah, I didn't realize you could see those from Norway. Like you always just hear about like Alaska and like maybe some Canada places, but I would love to go to Norway for the simple fact I just feel like a lot of those places over there, especially like the Norway and the Belgiums and stuff like that. I feel like, and especially I'm the same way. Like I would want to go to the villages, right? That feels like maybe time stands still there. Like it. I mean, there's modern probably technology there and stuff like that. I'm not saying that, but like especially like the architecture, the buildings. Like I just think of like I know this is like a random thought, but I just think of like Beauty and the Beast, like those types of like buildings and just like, you know, and stuff like that. And then the food and then also I know a lot of those European nations really love like riding bicycles and I love to ride bikes.
Oh, yeah.
So I know they're really big on like bicycle safety. Like not a lot of people have cars, like they ride their bikes a lot. That probably plays into they don't deal with a lot of like environmental issues, the stuff that we deal with, and maybe some of the health issues that we deal with here in the United States. But no, Norway I think would be just an amazing place to go.
I did just Google and it said, yep, above the Arctic Circle, Tromsø. I probably am so scratching that because I don't know how to pronounce it. But in Norway, yep.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so, there's 13 different countries. I just actually Googled it, so there's other countries. But Northern Lights was definitely something that I'd love to.
It's such a millennial thing for you to do. Google something.
Google it.
Yeah.
I want facts. I want to make sure that I know what I'm talking about. I'm not giving out false information.
No fact check here, guys.
No generalizing.
Yes, no, we're not generalizing. Right? I'm gonna go completely. This is gonna be completely off the wall. We're not even in Europe anymore. Okay, we're on an island, but not an exotic island. I want to go to the island of Japan.
Oh,
I think that would be an amazing place to travel to.
Guess who's been there before?
Have you? I feel like it's like, I mean, you see all the pictures, like it's an island, right? And it's like there's lots of people and it's really crowded, I feel like. And I'm not a like super like crowd oriented person anymore. However, just like the Japanese culture, right? Like samurai and that kind of thing. And just like they're like, I was talking to Megan today, and we're just talking about like how certain cultures like gravitate to certain things. I just feel like Japan has like a ton of technology that we haven't even seen over here. Like, you know, just things that they're like, I feel like they're always like, even like fashion, technology, you know, those types of things. I feel like they're just so much further ahead than where we're at. Even though, you know, I understand, you know, America has a lot of technology and I'm not downplaying that, but I'm just feeling like in my mind, because I've never been to Japan. I mean, you can probably attest to it because you've been there. But like the food, I would, you know, sushi, that type of thing. I would just love to go over there and check it out. So since you've been there, tell me a little.
Yeah. So actually, it's funny. I studied Japanese in middle school in Baltimore. I went to a magnet middle school. So it's kind of like a major that you could pick. And my grandfather lived in Japan for 16 years. So he was the VP for General Motors for overseas trucking. So he lived in Japan. He lived on the top floor of a Hotel Okuda in Tokyo. And it was like a penthouse, I guess, but he lived there. And my mom visited him when she was 16 years old. And ever since, I mean, my sister and I, we have stuff from Japan, obviously, that he would give us and send. And he then lived in Hawaii and then Florida, obviously, where he was until he passed away. But yeah, we studied Japanese for 3 years. And then at the end of that 3 years, we could do a trip. It was a 2-week trip with some of our classmates and stuff. And we did a host family for 1 week. And then the other week we did was Tokyo and a couple other cities. And you're right. I mean, the history, I mean, when you go back to how much longer they, you know, Japan was around than the United States, all these countries, you think about this history, we're a like if you think about the United States here, of all that in the samurai, like you said, but these temples and a lot of the gardens and the culture around all of that, it's interesting that there's so much tradition there of that, but yet there's so much future and the technology, like you said, it's almost going on at the same time. And you could go from, I mean, that's happening in the United States, obviously, but I mean, I think you could go, be in Tokyo, which is, there's just, you said the fashion, obviously in the anime and all of these things that when I was there, Americans the kids loved us. They wanted us to just speak in English and write anything and sign. It was like we were little celebrities to the kids at some of the schools, and it was odd, obviously, but I felt the other way around. I thought it was just so neat, getting them to write the kanji and all that stuff that we were learning. I think it was something similar, but our friend Josh, actually, he travels a lot and he wants to go back there. And I was like, take me with you.
Yeah. But I feel like
I was only 13 or 14 years old. I mean, how do you appreciate a lot of it?
Yeah. Like I think, I don't know, and I might be, maybe you can Google this for me, but I know there's a place in like Reading or something like that has the pagoda or whatever it's called on the mountain.
Pagoda. I've been there. Yeah.
I don't know if that's Japanese or if that's Chinese. I'm sure it's pretty Japanese, right? So like those buildings, that history. But I feel like in Japan, like their cultures, like you said, there's the traditional and then there's the new wave. Right. But I feel like they blended those two. Like I feel even like the newer generation really still respects the tradition of the country, but they're putting their own spin onto their culture. So I would love to just go over there, and I know there's probably a lot of Americans over there just because of business and stuff like that. So I know, like I said, I would just love to, even though it's probably a long flight, and I'm not huge on planes, but still, I would love to go there and check it out.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't want to, I don't really remember as far as the time frames, but I mean, I think, when we talk about the samurais, I mean, I'm just thinking back about shoguns and like a lot of the stuff that I learned with Japanese history that went back, some of these emperors and some of these different time periods that they had to, I don't know, BC time, this is what I think, I definitely think that there's,
I think it also has to I love discipline, and I love like people that can truly be disciplined in everything they're doing. And that's like what you think about, like with samurais and stuff like that. And you think about, especially the Japanese cultures, like they're just so disciplined in a lot of stuff that they do. And so, like I said, I've always just admired that. And so that's definitely a country that I would love to go. Maybe we can plan a trip to Japan together.
Good. Yeah. I'm going to get on Josh. It was him saying he wanted to go in the next the next year or two. And I said, I'm going with you.
And who knows, maybe we could do a millennial show from Japan.
Trip to Japan? That would be awesome. That would be so cool. The Shinkansen is the bullet train. So we got to ride that from, I think it was Kyoto to Tokyo or something like that, which was really neat. But I think you're right. I mean, the history, there's so much that we would never be able to even study and read about, that is there. And then at least if you can get a glimpse of it when you go to these different countries, that you can go to these temples and you can go to at least take it in a sense, versus it's so much different reading it in a book or reading it online. I think experiencing it in person and seeing all that too. But
so you're next. What's your next one?
So what would be my next one? As I said, I said I didn't really travel, but obviously I did go to Japan, so I can't say I haven't traveled. As an adult, I just went to Canada for the first time a couple years ago, and then Mexico for the first time. And I do enjoy a beach feel. I'm kind of more of a lake person now, but I've always wanted to go to the Tahitian Islands, and you see those little huts.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's there's Fiji, and now there's the Maldives or Maldives. I don't know how to say it, but there's those little huts that you can get at these villas, and they're right on the water, and
Yep.
and it's just crystal clear water. But I had actually been talking to Jason from Travel Simplicity about that, and as much as I would love that, and I do want to do this, I don't know that that's enough for me to just go to this beautiful hut area and have that space on the water and just sit out, right? I mean, there's things you can do. You can paddleboard. We can do that. We can do that anytime. We can kayak. We can do that anytime. I don't know that I can go somewhere and just sit on a chair or a beach and just sit in the sun. I mean, you love to read, so that you could do. But again, going back to, I like to explore. So twofold, I'd love to do that for a couple of days maybe, and then go into some type of a village. And this is where Jason will come in, because you can't just go anywhere in the world that you want to go. But I would love to go into more of a small village and live in for a couple of days or a week, how they live in these small villages. It just goes back to what you said too, that some of the places it's like you're standing still. We go so fast, and we have so much in the hustle and the bustle. And when you go to places that don't have, do they even have the internet? I don't know. But, there's so much that they live off of, so much less, and just simplicity. And I would love to just be in a little, and maybe the Tahitian Island thing and that's not going to work for the village, because I don't even know if that's possible, because there's all these little islands and you can't, you have to go to somewhere closer. But I picture that together, doing something similar where you can experience that relaxation for a day or two, and then also do in the middle of, I don't want to say the jungle, but something like some type of village that's close by. I don't know.
Oh, I would love to go to a place like that, and I'm complete opposite of you. Like, I could literally sit there and do absolutely nothing for an entire week. Yeah. And just sit there on the water, because like I said before, I'm really big on the moment that you're in, because you're never going to get that moment back. And so to be surrounded by water, where it's eerily quiet. You've ever been like that before, where you're just in a place in nature, if you're on a hike, right? And there's all you hear is just nature, right? You just hear, or sometimes you just hear nothing. And sometimes I've heard people describe that when they've jumped out of planes before, they'll be jumping, right, and the wind will be going past them, and it'll be all this noise, and then as soon as they open their chute, it's just like you can't hear anything, right? It's just quiet. And I crave those moments, because it just gives me like you said, we're always moving, we're always thinking, we're always thinking about we're always thinking about the future. It's everything that's going on in the world, right? Politics, relationships, all that. And just to take them a week or 3 or 4 days out of your year and just completely and mentally just shut everything down, I think is probably the biggest thing that I would love to do. So,
right. Yeah, I do enjoy a relaxation part. I think just for me, going back to our millennial stereotypes of the experiences, I think that it is still relaxing to me to talk to people and meet new people, kind of be in that. But I agree with you too.
Yeah. I think my next one, I'm going to go to the African continent. And
Oh,
so, but I'm going to go to the very top. All right. So it's like I'm giving you guys a little bit of a picture, right?
okay.
And it's a little bit of a dangerous country in some parts, but I would absolutely love to go to Egypt. And I would love to go see the pyramids. I would
Yeah.
love to go see like a lot of those. Like that's even like I feel like even older than Japan, right? Just some of those things, and just to see what like I mean, because you see like buildings built, right? And we have modern machinery that helps build buildings, like especially the skyscrapers and stuff like that. But to be able to see, I think, like an actual pyramid built where it was, it was built by slaves. Let's call it what it is. But to see that, right? To see the history, to go see some pharaohs, right? To walk through like the deserts, right? And just to be like, because you see all those things, right? And just to be a part of that, maybe go see what a Nile crocodile looks like. Yeah, go see the Nile, right? Go see that, one of the biggest rivers in the world. But I think that would be an interesting place to go. Like go to the bazaar, right? And go like, like that would probably be right up your alley, right? To go to the local spots, and I think and go to those places and get some like real like something made in Egypt, like pottery or whatever. I don't know, but like just to go to that part of the country, another historical part of the country or country of the world, that would be really kind of up my alley too.
Yeah, I don't know if you're seeing on Facebook right now Brandon's memes and gifs that he's posting. The mummy.
No, I'll try to pop it up and see if it pops up. I think it's just
I
it's
think it.
fine.
Yeah, but he did say Japan. I think he was seconding your that, and he put the Japanese flag. But the mummy, that's great because when I saw the meme of the guy, I think it's so much what you're talking about too. There's so much that we've seen in movies that to go there and in real life, it's only things that you would either read about or see in a movie, And I think that when we talk about traveling and seeing the world, that we are only here for so long, life's short, and there are going to be limitations like with our age and traveling and money and all that. And it's almost, why wait? Why not start to plan these trips, and also trying to realize that there's so much to see out in the world versus things that we could have, go back to material things. So I definitely don't always want to, it doesn't need to be that you're planning this week, 2-week trip, and it doesn't have to be tens of thousands of dollars. And I think that we can do little trips even throughout, the East Coast, and weekend trips and things just to get away. And we've even talked about things with COVID, trying to just at least have some getaway time and do things and still be safe. It's hard, but I'll stick with the US, and I'll say, and this, I want to go to Napa.
Oh, well, that's surprise.
Why not?
Why
not?
How? Let me ask this. All right. So when you went to Japan, right? So you went to Japan, but you haven't been to Napa, right? So
Right,
you fly over California, don't you?
It was a student exchange trip. Okay. I have been to California. I just went to LA and Malibu and all, and drove up Ojai, and I did almost a 2-week trip up there. But I want to make sure that when I go, it's with the right people, and it's with people who enjoy wine and people who I want to enjoy my wine time with. And I just never had that opportunity yet. That whether it was people who wanted to go, or if just Alex and I go, or if it's a group, I don't know. But I think as the years go by too, I enjoy different types of wine, and it's coming here soon for sure. But I think that I would love to see where some of the wine that we enjoy comes from, but have 100% a driver. You have to get a driver.
Of course.
You can't be doing Napa and driving yourself. So I've never really explored the options of where to stay and what to do and what wineries in this. I mean, we have our favorite wineries that we would probably go to, but Napa would be great. I'd love to get all the wine. Get all the wine in Napa.
I think I feel like I've been to Napa just because Megan watches so much Hallmark movies, and I feel like every Hallmark movie is in Napa of somebody owns a winery. It's about to be shut down. They got to figure out how to sell more wine, like one of those deals. So no, I would love to go to Napa.
It's a small little town that the girl comes back and the guy from high school,
Yeah. Or I saw one, not to get on Hallmark movies, but I saw one last year where it was two families that owned separate wineries that were fighting, and then the guy and the girl got together and both of their wineries like melded it. It was
you're watching more Hallmark movies than you let on, okay?
Well, it's because I'm forced to, okay? It's like, like waterboarding, okay? So
I like that you give Megan the time, and you put her first, and you put yourself aside to watch the Hallmark movies with her.
Well, I fight it most of the year.
Happy wife, happy life.
I fight it most of the year. But by this time, I'm starting to lose the battle because once you get into Christmas, it's over. You're watching Hallmark movies. That's happening. So, and there's early fall ones, so I'm sure that time is coming. So that's another reason why I hate pumpkin spice, because I know what's around the corner. We actually have a comment by Brandon. I think it's pretty cool. When I travel to Italy, it helps me open my eyes to other cultures. I think as Americans, sometimes we find it hard to understand other cultures. I think it's important for everyone to travel at least once in their life to gain some perspective. Mm-hmm. I mean, 100%.
I think some of that's what we've been talking about too. It's just we didn't articulate it as.
Thanks for helping us out there, my man. For articulating our point. But yeah, I mean that's spot on. I think that's I don't know. Do you have any other places you'd like to travel, or is that a good?
No, I'm good. I think there's so many other places I'd love to travel, but I would say that I'd love to do. I don't know where or what. I'd love to do some type of like hiking experience. Kind of do a camping. Glamping I'd be fine with. However, I was a Girl Scout and I pitched my own tent, so I can get dirty with a tent camp too. And I think that would be a neat experience, doing some type of a backpacking. My sister actually was a travel agent, and she's traveled the world. And she actually went to Peru and did backpacking in Peru and hiking. I don't think they camped, but I would love that. I'd strap a thing, go for days and in with nature.
I have a friend. I haven't talked to him in a very long time. He was actually worked for me. He was a bartender, and every winter we would close the lobby bar down. Like there wouldn't be a lot of travel there, so he would take long traveling trips, and he actually backpacked from one end and like the long part. So from one end of New Zealand to the opposite end.
Wow.
And didn't like camped every night, like didn't stay in hotels and stuff like that. I mean, like would go take showers and whatnot, but like he wasn't sleeping in a bedroom or anything like that. So I think I would like to do that for a day, but maybe not like a whole week. I would probably get bored of that really quick. Just walking around the whole time. So, but
I'm going to show this just real quick. That Brandon put a website here, pacanyon.com. You can see it on Facebook, so I'll click it out, but it definitely has the lodging and what we were just talking about. So thanks, Brandon. I'm going to look that
up. She will. Believe me, she will.
Oh, I will.
But it's that time, right? We're at the end of the show, and it's then time for the millennial meme of the day, and it's pretty funny. I tried to find a funny one, and we've all have experienced this, and you cringe the moment that this walks onto your airplane. So, or you have felt this at one point. So it's that look of horror on every passenger's face when child and infants start boarding the plane.
Oh, yes.
Especially if you have like a book you want to read or you're trying to catch up on some work. You automatically know, or if it's like a 6 a.m. flight, like it's a really early morning flight, you're like, hey, I can sleep, right? I'm going to be able to sleep. And always, there's always like a screaming baby. You know, but when you're wide awake and you don't need to sleep, it's dead quiet.
Right. Oh yeah.
So I think it's safe to say we've all felt that way before.
Definitely. Oh goodness.
I'm sure some parents feel that way walking onto planes with their children.
Oh, I'm sure, and you never know. I think with I've been on a couple of flights where the pressure, you know, the really hurt their ears. And it's torture for us as adults. I hate that, you know, poor baby.
Yeah.
To
At least you can chew some gum or something like that. And that
times. Yeah, I do. I used to pack Bubble Yum, the Bubblicious, a whole big pack of that.
The gum that lasts like 5 seconds. That's definitely a millennial gum.
Yeah, Bubblicious. Watermelon.
Yeah, you chew it for like 10 seconds. It's like, I need another piece. And they were always like the size of like a silver dollar. They were like huge. Yeah. They're like.
Yeah. Yes, but it was good because you're like, the poor ears. Oh.
Well, anyways, guys, we appreciate you jumping on a Saturday with us. Hopefully you're having a good weekend so far. In the comment section, for those that are going to be jumping on later, right, checking some of this content out, make sure you drop some of your favorite places that you like to travel. Brandon dropped a couple, right? Japan, he definitely would love to go there, and some stuff like that. So, but like I said, guys, we really appreciate it. If you guys don't know, we're on a lot of different other platforms. We'll post about that here soon, just so that you can get all the millennial content that you could ever imagine, right? It'll be there for you. But like I said, guys, you know, at the end of each show, I always tell you to make sure that you make good memories with your family, especially on the weekend. And we also do one other thing. Mel, leave us with some lasting comments, some advice, something that you're going to be doing this weekend, or just something along those lines. What do you got for us?
Well, I think we're just going to have some downtime, you know, some quality time. It's been a long week with everything going on with the conference, but I think I'm even more excited and hyped up now that we talked about all this travel because of that trip that we're planning. And I think that what's been going on with a lot of us with COVID and not being able to travel and not being able to do a lot of the normal things socially and with our relationships and our families, that it is something nice to look forward to. So like I said earlier, was why wait? And even if it's something that you're going to plan for next year, we have so much time, and you don't even have to set a date on it. It could just be something that you want to start to plan for and start to get some of the details out. But it's something that you know, I don't know, it kind of changes when you're saying, oh, we're doing this next year, or we're going here. And all you have to do is start the conversation. If you want to plan it yourself, start looking online. You know, I put Jason's link for Travel Simplicity in here because obviously we're going with him for helping design our trip. But you know, check it out and see some of the stuff that he's done. And it could be a simple trip up to the Poconos for the weekend for a 2-night little getaway. You know, I mean, it doesn't have to be a huge trip, guys, that spending quality time together and making these memories in a time like this, you know, obviously be safe, but, you know, but if it's such a huge part of our lives and we like to explore, and Billy with, you know, all the history and wanting to see the world, you know, just start to plan it and it'll happen.
Yeah, great. I love it. Make sure you guys are going to be safe this weekend, and whatever you do, if you are traveling and watching this, right, make sure you're being safe about what you're doing. So, but anyways, guys, we will be on next Friday. as of right now. Who knows? Life might change, right? But that's fine. But anyways, guys, we do appreciate your time. Go have some fun today. Go make some good memories, and we will definitely be catching you here soon. Have a good one, guys.